And here is the Writer's Almanac for Thursday, the 9th of April, 2020. It's the birthday of the poet Charles Baudelaire, born in Paris, 1821. Author of Les Fleurs du Mal, came out in 1857, The Flowers of Evil. A few years later, 1865, on this day, General Robert E. Lee surrendered the Army of Northern Virginia to Ulysses S. Grant at the courthouse in Appomattox, thus effectively ending the American Civil War. Robert E. Lee, wearing his best gray Confederate uniform with a sword at his side, Grant wearing a muddy private's shirt. The two men had a brief conversation, recalling their first meeting back during the Mexican War, and then discussed the terms of surrender. Grant wrote later that he was sad and depressed at the downfall of a foe who'd fought so long and valiantly and had suffered so much for a cause, though that cause was, I believe, the worst for which people ever fought. But as General Lee was leaving the courthouse, when the Union soldiers began to cheer, Grant ordered them to be silent out of respect, and Lee rode back to camp, reached his tent, and addressed his men. He said, "Boys, I've done the best I could for you. Go home now, and if you make as good citizens as you have soldiers, you will do well, and I shall always be proud of you." It's the birthday of a man who, when a college student majoring in psychology, wrote a book review of Alfred Kinsey's sexual behavior in the human male. And in his review, he wrote, "Dr. Kinsey's book disturbs me. Our hypocrisy on matters of sex have led to incalculable frustration, delinquency, and unhappiness." That was Hugh Hefner, born in Chicago in 1926, who went off to found Playboy magazine. It's the birthday of Joseph Krumgold, born in Jersey City, 1908. He was a screenwriter and producer. He did a documentary about Mexican-American families for the State Department. And since it focused on a young boy and a family of sheep herders, a publisher suggested that Krumgold write a children's book. And that became And Now Miguel, came out in 1953, won the Newbery Medal, as did Mr. Krumgold's next book, Onion John. And it's the birthday of the novelist Elizabeth Crook, born in Houston, 1959, author of The Night Journal. Elizabeth Crook, who said the major trick to writing good historical fiction is knowing which details to leave out. Here's a poem for today by Julie Cadwallader Staub, entitled Two Poets, or Why English is Such a Difficult Language to Learn. Hey, we've been passing like ships in the night. Can't we hang out together and make beautiful music like we used to? You must have lost your marbles, she says. You need to turn on a dime and step up to the plate if we're going to make hay while the sun shines. Wait a minute, you're putting the cart before the horse. Let me cut to the chase. We've been treading water, and all I'm trying to do is move the ball down the field. I know, she says, but you have to have your oar in the water, too. Look, he says, you're my North Star. I know I missed a few beats, but don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I've turned over a new leaf. I'm watching my P's and Q's. I'm dotting my I's and crossing my T's. Now we're cooking with gas, she smiles. I'm so relieved. I was afraid you had hung me out to dry. If we can be like two peas in a pod again, everything else will be icing on the cake. A poem by Julie Cadwallader Staub. Two Poets, or Why English is Such a Difficult Language to Learn, from her collection Wing Over Wing, published by Paraclete Press and used by permission here on the Writer's Almanac. Be well, do good work, and keep in touch.